Shalom. I'd like to start out by giving all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, or Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone, and Shalom to the elect of Israel. This is Thamayim in Atlanta, and I came across this post yesterday, and it was just a little community post from the New York Post, and it said squad lawmaker explains creative way to pay $14 trillion in slavery reparations, moral and legal obligation. I'm guessing that's what he's saying. And I didn't even read this article, but I did go to the comments. And as soon as you get to the comments, you see Esau being Esau. So let's read through some of these and get into the scriptures. First one says, if anyone ever asks you about slavery reparations and you're outside, point to a tree and say, are you also going to ask that tree? Because we're both equally as responsible as the tree. And the tree might have actually been around back then. And he's like, really funny, Esau. You actually are responsible because you are those people. And they don't understand that. They've pushed hell doctrine for so long that they don't understand that they are responsible for what their forefathers did because of what the Bible calls regeneration. If you hadn't seen it, look it up. Just do a search in your Bible app and that'll come up. And you can actually start to see that that is what the Bible's talking about. It's not talking about hell, someplace you go and burn forever. It's really talking about how you go up and get your judgment and then come back down to the earth. It's a continuous cycle. Ecclesiastes does a really good job of helping explain it, and it's really throughout the scriptures. Moving on, it says, as an Irishman, I'd like all those of African descent to pay for my reparations for the enslavement of my Irish ancestors. And we're not of African descent. We were picked up in Africa, but we are of Israelite stock, that being the Negroes, the Latinos, and Native Americans, as well as are scattered. And generally, we say that a lot of the Irish are actually of that same stock, and that's why they went into slavery as well. But this guy sounds like he's an Edomite, so I'm not even going to give him that benefit. It says, which has been proven by history books. Remember, it doesn't matter what part of Africa you're from. She spelled you're wrong. It says just the color of your skin. It says no obligation for people who have never had slaves to pay people who have never been enslaved anything. Utter madness. And honestly, it is madness to be speaking of this at this point in time. It's never going to happen. If it was ever going to happen, it would have happened all the way back in the 1800s, and we actually would have gotten the 40 acres and a mule. But they didn't do that, and there's no reason to think that they're going to make anything right. We were waiting on Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai to make everything right. It says, wait ye on me. It says, the next one says, the Democratic Party owes reparations, not the general citizenry. Next one, if reparations require the recipient to forfeit their U.S. citizenship and be restored fully to the African nation of their ancestry, then I may be agreeable. So you see how much Esau really hates you. And it's just is what it is. Jacob and Esau, there was going to be struggle in between the two. And Esau being the self-proclaimed white people, those Caucasians, as well as those small hatters, those 1948ers. Those are Edomites, and these Caucasians are Edomites, and they all get the same awful punishment, which is 1,000 years of slavery, and then they will be genocided after that, after their slavery sentence is up, according to Obadiah 1 and 18. And it just has to happen because we're heading into a world full of righteousness, and we can't have the wicked there. They'll throw everything off balance. What most people don't realize is that the average person will never see 1 penny of this money should reparations get approved. The politicians are not going to pass out any money until they have their bank accounts ready. Every penny will either go to a politician, to an organization set up to receive the money for proper distribution with no oversight. And that's just about right. And you can even throw in that this economy is tanking, and why would you want these dollars that are every day losing more and more value? And just like Dave Chappelle's skit, you just give it back to Esau and quickly, and it probably help extend his kingdom a little further. So no, I do not want Esau's reparations. I'm not saying I would turn down a check if it did come to me, but I'm not looking for Esau's reparations. I want Esau. I want them to build up the kingdom, and I want them underfoot. So start by getting reparations from the African countries that sold them. And we will. Every single nation will be put underfoot when Yahushua returns. That includes those Hamites. It includes the Ishmaelites. It includes the Edomites, first and foremost, and all of the other nations. They were all going to pay for what has been done. This one says, who would have thought cheap cotton was going to be the most expensive thing for Americans to deal with? Ha ha ha, Esau. It says, where do me and my Irish brothers and sisters sign up for these slavery reparations? And really, most of them, or not even most, some of them do go back to Israelites, those Irish people. And if the world wasn't in such confusion and people actually went with what house they're from or which actual nation they're from, there wouldn't be any confusion within that. But there is, and so it's just one more reason that reparations won't be out. There's too much confusion. Too many people were affected by this, and not all of them are going to be looking like Wesley Snipes. Get reparations from the African leaders who sold them. As I said, we will. And really, that's enough of these. Oh, here's one. It says, I recalculated the payments, and after all the stolen bicycles, black Americans actually owe white Americans about $350, which is actually kind of funny because these 2/3 do show their behinds often. And I get it. They're tired of the 2/3, and we're tired of the 2/3. But let's get into the scriptures, because Esau doesn't think they're going to have to pay, but they are most definitely going to have to pay. This is Zechariah chapter 11 and verse 4. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, my power, feed the flock of the slaughter, that being the Israelites, the Negroes, the Latinos, and the Native Americans, as well as are scattered. So that would include the Irishman that spoke earlier, if he in fact does go back to the house of Israel. It says, whose possessors slay them. Those possessors being the self-proclaimed white man, the Edomites, and those small hatters who had a big hand in our slavery. They owned the ships, and they were the majority owners. It says, and hold themselves not guilty. And that's what those people in those comments were doing, holding themselves not guilty, because they don't understand really anything. They don't understand reincarnation or regeneration. They don't understand retribution. They don't understand the Lord's judgments. And they really just think this is just going to keep going on for on and on and on forever. But they're in fact falling out of power as we speak. It says, and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. Because they benefited off of this. They benefited off of their whiteness. They've benefited off of the stolen land. They've benefited off of the stolen people. And they owe. They have a blood debt. They've shed blood on this land. They've pushed out all sorts of lies. They've robbed. They've broken treaties. They owe. And it says, and their own shepherds pity them not. Because our shepherds, which would be the pastors, are just playing into Esau's plan. They're pushing out Esau's fake Christianity and misleading our people and keeping them possessed under these possessors. I want to go to Psalms 49 real quick, because Esau really thinks he's going to continue forever. Psalms 49 and 11, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. But as I mentioned earlier, they get Obadiah 1 and 18. It says they call their lands after their own names. America is named after Amerigo Vespucci. Amerigo going into bitterness, and this has been a bitter captivity for us. And Amerigo Vespucci, I believe he was Italian. I could be wrong on that, but either way, he was an Edomite, and this place is called after him. So is Asia, after Scipio Asiaticus. Africa, after Scipio Africanus. Europe's actually named after an Egyptian goddess, which I think is funny. And, you look around, there's all these Columbias and Washingtons and, so on and so forth. They name these places after themselves. And that adds into the confusion that we currently dwell within. They're not the elect, because the elect have been brought out of that foggy haze and are being raised up. But the people, they're all in total darkness and confusion. It's the book of Joel, chapter 3 and verse 2, because this all ends. They think the Lord's blessing them and has made them rich and has allowed them to get the fatness of the earth, and that this is all going to continue forever and ever. But the Lord is about to gather the heathen down into the valley of Jehoshaphat to judge them for what they have done. And when all the smoke is cleared from that, the Edomites will be in chains, the Ishmaelites will be in chains, the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Hamites, so on and so forth. They're all going to be in chains, because they have to pay for what they did. And you could go through all the way back to Egypt, and these nations have had us in captivity over and over. You go to Egypt, you go through the book of Judges, you go through especially the earlier scripts. You see these different captivities. You see the Babylonian captivity, the Medo-Persian, the Roman, the Greek, and then this current captivity we've been under and that we're in Babylon, in America. Joel chapter 3 and verse 2. I will also gather all nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Jehoshaphat, which is the Lord's judgment, Yahweh's judgment, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel. He's going to judge them there. It says, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So we've been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, different captivities. There's sub-Saharan slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, and then various things have happened within different countries. Like we know we've got people in India, East India, under the Elamites, and they've been treated poorly. We've got people in Asia or in like China and Japan, and they've been treated terribly. Southeast Asia, throughout Africa, throughout Europe, we're everywhere, and everywhere we are, we would be under those curses. And those curses happened, different curses at different times, or sometimes they might have happened multiple times. And yeah, we're scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, the diaspora. And it says, imparted my land. And currently you have Amalek, which are those small hatters with the big noses, and you have Ishmael there. They're calling themselves Palestinians, but they're not the original Palestinians because they're not Hamites. And they could even answer that for themselves. Jumping down to verse 6. Actually, jumping down to verse 5. It says, because you have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things. And that always makes me think of the Ark of Titus. It says, the children also of Judah, the southern kingdom, and the children of Jerusalem, the northern kingdom, represented by the Native Americans and the Latinos, have ye sold unto the Grecians. Those Grecians being so-called Caucasians, so-called white people. It says that ye might remove them far from their border. It says, behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. So you will be paid back. It says, and I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, so-called Negroes, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it. And so you're going to get paid back with a really, really brutal slavery. You're going to be more of entertainment in other nations. You're going to be doing the hard work. In Esau, you're going to be a bunch of footballs and hockey pucks and basketballs and just playthings to take out any frustrations that we might have, which we're not going to be frustrated in the kingdom, but it will be fun and entertaining to use Esau for sport. Let's get these, because this is how the Lord pays back. This is how he judges. It's not you do something and then you die in your bed with your children surrounding you and you've actually gotten away with it. It's no, he's going to judge you in your next lifetime. And for Esau, he's put off a lot of Esau's wickedness to judge him in the day of judgment. He says, even so have I, for just paraphrasing, saved the wicked for the day of judgment. They're his people, the people of his curse to judgment. They're going to get judged, and the elect of Israel will be delivered, and this will all go into spreading Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai's name throughout the earth. Exodus 20:5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for the Lord Yahweh, thy power, and jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. So you come back in the third or fourth generation, so after you die, and that's where you can look to receive your judgment. That's why you see kids being born blind or having something awful happen to them at a really early age, where most people look at it and think, oh, what could they have done to get such a terrible judgment? But no one dies innocent. The Lord's judgment caught up with them, and right away. And just seeing this is said over and over that he judges on the third and fourth generation. Exodus 34:7. Keeping mercy for thousands, forgiving iniquity and transgression and sin that will by no means clear the guilty. And Esau, you are guilty. You will pay for this. It says, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children and upon the children's children unto the third and to the fourth generation. It says it again right there in Numbers 14 and 18. Deuteronomy 5 and 9. It says it quite a few times to where he's letting it sink in that, yeah, you got to pay for this, Esau. You have to pay completely. And Esau's always trying to say, oh, he doesn't punish the children for the father's sins and all that. And it's not immediately, like you're not going to pay for what your father did, but you're going to pay for what your forefathers did, third or fourth generation away in the past. And it says right here in Isaiah 14 and 21, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers. So all those wicked things that the Edomites have done will be paid for. The Most High has not forgotten. He says that they do not rise nor possess the land nor fill the face of the world with cities. So getting taken completely out of power. You're going to be building these cities for the Israelites in the kingdom. You're not going to have any partaking in it, any sharing of power or anything. You have to pay for what your forefathers have done. And that includes touching the apple of the Most High's eye. That includes shedding blood in every land that you've stolen. That includes the lies, the blasphemy. You know, you can't forget about white Jesus. That is blasphemy of the Holy Spirit, as well as the angels and the Heavenly Father, Yahweh. You got to pay for these things. And what you're about to do, the billions of people that your elite plan to kill, that's going to have to be taken into account as well. You're going to be punished as a nation. So reading that again, Isaiah 14 and 21, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. So, Esau, you are eventually going to pay. You will pay. And as I said earlier, it's before the smoke of World War III is over. You're going to be in chains. At least your elite will. Most of your American Edomites are going to get burnt up in this nuclear fire that will be sent on to Babylon. And then the rest of them are going to get burned up and killed, slaughtered over in the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. And so, rejoice and be glad, Esau. Lord willing, that was edifying. I'd like to give all glory, praise, and honor to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, or Chakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone. And Shalom to the elect of Israel. Shalom.